Hey Memphis, this is Best in Blue. This show is just like it sounds. We're talking to the best and brightest in the Memphis Police Department. In each episode, we do a deep dive into the various jobs within the department, and more importantly, we do a deep dive into the lives of the very human men and women behind the badge. And now, here's your host, Candace Gray.
Hello and welcome to this special edition of Best in Blue, sponsored by the Memphis Police Department and powered by Kadzukian. This is a three-part series called The Progress Report. Chief C.J. Davis is here with us to give us a snapshot of the strides that have been made in 2023, as well as give us a glimpse into 2024. This special episode will center on officer and staff training and development. We will take a quick break and then we'll come right back with Chief C.J. Davis and Best in Blue, The Progress Report.
A new era in public safety begins with you. Be the change you want to see. Join the Memphis Police Department. Salary starts at $54,611, increasing to $72,000 after 3 years. Incentives include pension, health, vision, dental, and life insurance, 25-year retirement, take-home cars, over 75 specialized units. For more information or details, visit joinmpd.com.
And we're back with Chief C.J. Davis. Welcome back.
Thank you.
It is so good to see you again.
Thank you.
I really want us to get into the content for today, our first topic, which is officer and staff training and development. Chief Davis, what are some of the top priorities for the department when it comes to training and staff development? Tell me.
So we have a laundry list.
Okay.
But what I'll start with is one of my high priorities in the police department is always leadership training. Mm-hmm. You know, you can't expect the leaders in the department to really guide the troops and guide the men and women if they haven't had opportunities themselves. So
that's right.
From the very beginning, I began to do assessments of the Memphis Police Department's training, curriculum, and also the various types of opportunities that our leaders have had in the past. And what was apparent was that some of them didn't have an opportunity to go to executive training, whether it was, within the police department or, beyond. Across the country, police leaders, they go to various types of schools, specialized schools, so that they can prepare themselves for the next level. One of them is the Police Executive Research Forum in Boston.
Okay.
The acronyms are PERF, and this is a senior management institute that myself and several of my colleagues that I know around the country have gone to. And so we've sent some 16 high-level executives in the Memphis Police Department through PERF's training, and they do 4 sessions a year.
Wow.
And each session I've had the director to approve for us to send 2 people to each session.
Wonderful.
Our commanders have come back with their eyes wide open and ready to really apply some of those skill sets. We also started a leadership institute in the Memphis Police Department in partnership with Tennessee State University.
Okay.
This is a leadership institute that already exists in the state of Tennessee, but typically leaders would have to go to Nashville and spend time, several weeks in Nashville to go through this training. We worked it out through the Tennessee State University so that we could have this leadership training at our police academy. So it's the Memphis Police Leadership Institute, hosted by Tennessee State University.
Wow.
So we took our first cohort of lieutenants and majors through that training. And they came out wide-eyed as well and really had an opportunity to take a deep dive into what leadership really means. Everything from personality assessments to communications to administrative kinds of responsibilities, coaching and counseling, and just owning leadership and being in control of various types of work environments.
Well, I think that's so important because culture is huge in the department, I'm sure, and having leaders who are able to cultivate that culture I think is really important.
Yes.
So when it comes to leaders, I understand that there may be some merging or some elimination of a couple
Yes.
different positions. Can you talk a little bit about what that looks like?
Sure. So just looking at the structure of the Memphis Police Department, it was my observation that we were a little top heavy.
Okay.
You know, the chief's rank, the assistant chief's rank, the deputy chief's, rank, and
All the
then
bosses.
the bosses, the colonels, the
Sure.
lieutenant colonels, the majors,
Wow.
the lieutenants. And where we were missing is most police departments have a career development path from the bottom up.
Sure.
And so it was my, intention to eliminate one of those executive levels because I felt that there were enough leaders in the department to really handle and do a little bit of merging of those ranks.
Okay.
And so we gradually eliminated the lieutenant colonel's rank. We didn't demote anybody. What we did was we gradually allowed those positions to phase out.
Okay.
And
Retirements.
that's right, retirements, and mostly retirements.
Okay.
Or promotions. A
Yeah.
lieutenant colonel that got promoted to a colonel's rank, we just didn't fill that lieutenant colonel's rank. And so as they have phased out, it's sort of a budget neutral opportunity for us to take that funding and put it at the bottom level. And what I did was I went before council and created 125 first line supervisor positions.
Okay.
Our department was missing first line supervisors, which is very critical. Those are the folks that are out there hands-on with officers and are available because they're out there in the street.
That's great.
And so we created 125 first-line supervisor positions. We just recently did an RFP for us to actually test.
Okay.
And so the vendor has tested our first group of second lieutenants that will be promoted relatively soon. And we're looking forward to seeing those new supervisors out there in the street.
I think that's so important because, as we know, the year started off really rough with Tyree Nichols, and it seemed like some of those officers were younger and needed more leadership and guidance. And it sounds like that is a solution to that, right?
Well, not just in that situation, but just throughout.
Sure.
Daily, we see situations where our officers need immediate sort of supervision and coaching and counseling sort of, through to help them through various scenarios. And just having the one lieutenant, he has administrative responsibilities, timekeeping, he's so stretched, so thin, and responding to other types of emergency calls.
Sure.
We could easily get 3 or 4 emergency situations at one time. So having those additional supervisors to sort of back up and fill those gaps is really important.
That is wonderful. So tell me, in terms of best practices that you guys have implemented with crisis intervention, separating the crimes against persons and crimes against property. Tell us some of those changes that have happened this year and how it will position you guys for success in 2024.
So really separating those two functions, crimes against persons really deal with all of your major crimes, whether it's rapes or robberies or, homicides or crimes against children. That's a very different specialized kind of area. And to have a commander just to deal with those types of situations is really important.
Sure.
And then we created a position for another commander to handle all crimes against property.
Okay.
So for one commander to handle all crimes against property, when you think about how many crimes we deal with on a daily basis and all of the crimes against persons as well, when you think about homicides and robberies and rapes and, all of those different domestic aggravated assaults, you have one person that's overseeing the whole criminal investigations division. It was only, it was only a very prudent way of ensuring that we didn't have a span of control issue where there were enough high-level executives managing those two different functions.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's wonderful. Well, I know that we have made a lot of progress this year. And I was at the chamber luncheon where Mayor-elect Paul Young said you will definitely be back next year.
Yes.
How do you feel about that? What are you thinking just in terms of how we're going into 2024, the momentum going in?
Well, there's a lot of excitement. Of course, Mayor Strickland and I had a very, very good relationship. He knows that my focus is if I don't have the internal, components of the department operating correctly, then it's hard to have high level of service delivery to the community.
Absolutely.
So a lot of work has been spent on training, on structural kinds of changes, in the department, in ensuring that officers have equipment and officer wellness and, a number of different,
technology.
Technology has been critically important. And so the work that has been done in the Strickland administration, I think it's a very smooth transition that, our new mayor is embracing the work that is being done and really wants to support and help us to continue it.
Wonderful.
Everything from our camera network, Connect to Memphis, which takes us to another level with technology as well. We'll be more like New York City. We'll be more like Chicago, Atlanta, and some of the other cities.
For folks who are wanting to get involved, who want to be part of the solution and not the problem.
That's right. Connect to Memphis is technology that really doesn't cost our community members very much at all. Actually, it costs residents nothing.
Okay.
And the reason why we want our residents and community members to be so involved in Connect to Memphis is because recent crimes that we have solved have been because we were able to access Ring camera footage on just a neighbor or a community member's
we just
devices.
Charged our Ring yesterday.
That's right. That's right.
We've had police come and say, hey, we want to see the Ring footage. And one time we were so sorry. We were like, it's dead. We can't. Yes. So that is a great point. And
absolutely.
It costs
nothing.
Yeah.
It costs nothing for you to register your camera. We don't have access to your cameras. What it is that it lets us know that if a crime was committed, at 170 North Main Street, there is a person that lives at 172 North Main Street that has a Ring camera, and we can pick up the telephone and call them and ask them, could you check your footage on this day between this time and this time?
That's amazing.
And we have been able to make some significant arrests. We arrested a gentleman that actually raped a teenager.
Wow.
And was pursuing and tried to abduct 2 other teenagers. This was earlier this year. And because of the 88 Ring cameras in that community, we were able to put the puzzle pieces together.
Hallelujah.
And identify this individual.
Amazing.
Yes, and get him off the street.
Well, we know that is only part of the story. And we will be back with more from Chief C.J. Davis. Right here on Best in Blue. Stay tuned.
A new era in public safety begins with you. Be the change you want to see. Join the Memphis Police Department. Salary starts at $54,611, increasing to $72,000 after 3 years. Incentives include pension, health, vision, dental, and life insurance. 25-year retirement, take-home cars, over 75 specialized units. For more information or details, visit joinmpd.com.
Welcome back to Best in Blue, the Progress Report. We have so much to discuss with Chief C.J. Davis, and we are just so excited to get back into this conversation. Chief Davis, so when we took the break, we were talking a little bit about Connect to Memphis.
Yes.
Now, I understand this is a program that you started in Atlanta and had some great success with it. Talk a little bit about that.
So the project in Atlanta is called Operation Shield.
Okay.
So Operation Shield was very similar to, if anything, it's almost exactly like our Connect to Memphis project. It may be a little bit more advanced at this point because it's been rolled out for, a few years now. But today, the camera network in the city of Atlanta exceeds over 20,000 cameras, around the city. And these are cameras that are on banks and on schools and businesses. had small businesses, gas stations.
So not just, a residential, but commercial buildings as well can sign up. Okay.
So there are two ways that you can integrate. There's two ways you can be part of the program. Connect to Memphis. One way is if you're a business owner and you already have cameras on the exterior of your business, you can have those cameras integrated into the Memphis Real-Time Crime Center.
Okay.
So that if a crime occurs in the area of your business, we're able to pull up those cameras outside and see what types of cars came and left and tell officers out on the street real time. Black Mercedes just went south on such and such street.
Wow.
And so then the other way that you can be a part of the program is that if you're just a resident, we're not asking to have access to your cameras. We just want to know that you have a Ring camera system.
Okay.
So you register online basically saying, I am Joe Blow resident. I have a Ring camera and I live at such and such.
Okay.
And if a crime occurs or of some nature in your area, and we see that we have a person that has a registered camera, we just pick up telephone and ask you, can you check your footage and see whether or not you saw a black Mercedes around 2:00 in the morning in your area? We're trying to get a tag number.
Wow.
And so that's how residents and community members can help with the Connect to Memphis project.
Wonderful. We'll go online and check out Connect, the number 2, Memphis.com.
That's right.
And learn how you can be part of the solution.
Part of the solution.
One other thing I wanted to talk a little bit about, I know that we have separated traffic from special operations.
Yes.
Can you tell us how that's going to work now?
So traffic and special operations, the scenario was very similar to property crimes and crimes against persons.
Okay.
One person with huge responsibility. And so when there is a demand for the amount of attention that we needed towards traffic and a demand for the amount of attention that we need towards special operations, events, Beale Street, the use of all of our specialized equipment, it required us to get a colonel that runs one part and then another colonel that runs nothing but our traffic operations. Memphis's traffic really deserved the attention of a high-ranking official to specifically establish strategic planning around how do we calm traffic in Memphis. And I will have to say, over the last 2 years, I've seen some calming of traffic and more enforcement by our officers because we have a more laser focused, effort to try to deal with traffic issues.
It's interesting you say that. I do recall Riverside Drive being closed for a while. I know the city closed it because people were doing donuts on the street and things like that. And, back in the pandemic, the street was closed and people were able to just, safely walk across the street to the park and things like that. So I think you guys, it seems like you're making things a lot more efficient so that you can be more effective, which is amazing.
And really to direct our resources in places that we need them the most.
Sure.
And it really requires, the attention of a specific leader to establish the plan and really ensure that we're doing and taking all of the various steps to make our roads safer. Absolutely. Memphis leads the state in traffic fatalities.
Ask, where were we in the state?
We lead the state in traffic fatalities.
We are number one for all the wrong reasons sometimes, I can't wait till we get off of these lists.
Yes, we want to get off the list. I will say that we've had a reduction in shootings on our interstates, which is good, but we still lead in fatalities. We still have reckless driving, and it's not always the Challengers, the Chargers, and the Camaros.
Right.
It's everyday average citizens going to and from work that are just too much in a hurry. And unfortunately, it causes all kinds of catastrophic accidents.
On their phone, right?
On their phones and weaving in and out. And I think traffic really deserves that level of attention from a separate commander.
Wonderful. I am so excited about that. One of the other things I'm excited about that I've heard that you guys are doing is increasing opportunities for professional development.
Yes.
Tell me a little bit about what you guys have implemented.
So every year we have individuals who have opportunities to go to the FBI Academy, the National Academy.
Oh, wow.
We have opportunities, and I mentioned earlier, the Senior Management Institute in Boston. We've had, right.
Cold.
We've had some of our executives participate in exchanges abroad and have taken opportunities to go through leadership abroad. We also are implementing, as I mentioned before, the development courses, leadership development within the police department, where we're hosting our own leadership classes as well.
Amazing.
We do retreats every quarter. I bring speakers in so that we're not just talking about police stuff per se. We're talking about how do we engage with the community? How do we... Soft skills things. We've done complete Myers-Briggs personality assessments, leadership assessments, because if you don't know what your leadership strengths and weaknesses are, it's hard for you to be, an effective leader.
And how you present to other people, too. What their perceptions of you are. That's amazing.
Part of the strategic planning process every quarter when we meet, we also do a refresh on our strategic plan. Wonderful. Every commander provides an update on their particular work area, what their goals and objectives are, what those measures are, and where we are as far as making progress.
Amazing.
In the last month or so, this is the first time since we've rolled out these different plans that we're actually seeing progress in almost all of our precincts, where we were in what we call the red, because of all of the influx in crime. Now, almost all of our precincts are in the green, which means that we're moving in the right direction. It's not where we want it to be yet because we're only one cog in the wheel.
That's right.
And we're working with other entities too, so that as a city, we can be a safer city.
That's right.
Yeah.
I am so excited to hear about the different plans that we have in terms of, restructuring, development. I'd like to talk a little bit now about, under your leadership, your team has revised the disciplinary matrix for officers as well. So we're really kind of, looking 360 approach, really looking at everything. Can you explain to us kind of this new matrix?
Yes. And for me, I believe strongly that, the complaint process needs to be a piece of the department that we take seriously.
Absolutely.
In order for us to garner trust in the community, we have to ensure that we hold our officers to a certain standard.
That's right.
And policies and procedures need to be adhered to. They shouldn't be just put on the shelf and ignored.
That's right.
And, there's a saying that I use on a regular basis that culture eats policy for lunch.
That's right.
And it's true, especially in law enforcement.
Yeah.
But we have to make sure that we have checks and balances in place to address various types of complaints, whether it's a courtesy complaint or whether it's, just an accident that was egregious.
Yeah.
What we also want to do is make sure that our officers have an equitable process.
That's right.
A process that isn't heavy-handed, a process that ensures progressive discipline so that, it's consistent from one precinct to the next.
Yes.
If I commit a particular offense, the discipline should be the exact same for the officer that works Austin P than it is for the officer that works Range Station.
Absolutely.
And the only way that we can do that is that every supervisor utilize the disciplinary matrix that we have established. That ensures consistent discipline throughout the department.
And that did not exist before?
We didn't have a disciplinary matrix. And we didn't have the kind of guidelines that I felt that I think our community would have wanted us, to have and deserves. We had several individuals that, were waiting for court cases, and, sometimes they were criminal offenses that individuals stayed on the payroll, for, a couple of years.
Right.
until those cases were resolved in court.
So taxpayers
now we've changed some things. Yeah.
Still paying their salaries, eh?
Right.
Awesome.
Well,
That's good to hear.
It's a blessing that we don't have those types of lists anymore. And I think that, the good work that our officers do every day, we try not to throw the baby out with the bathwater.
That's right.
We have had issues, and earlier this year, even with Tyree Nichols' situation, I know for a fact that other officers that work in our criminal apprehension teams or Scorpion teams before, those officers did great work.
Right.
And we shouldn't, ostracize or treat them as if they were not doing good work every day.
That's right.
And we try to make sure that we have checks and balances in place so that when something does happen, we handle it appropriately.
Absolutely. You have also revised the arrest procedure policy to include duty to intervene, duty to report. How important was that for you? And is this something, that will change the department moving forward, would you say?
So if you remember post George Floyd, I think the city worked to have the reimagining policing recommendations. Right. They had a reimagining policing task force. And even though those recommendations were there and there was an intent to implement, those recommendations, we decided to take the recommendations and solidify what those recommendations were into our policies and procedures. Okay. And best practices is that you have a policy that covers duty to intervene, duty to render aid, and all of the other supervisory kind of responsibilities that, most police departments have. We took it a step further and we decided that we would implement training in all of our 9 precincts. Okay. And this training, we have de-escalation training. We also have a training that's entitled Do the Right Thing that we found through the community-oriented policing office out of D.C. Oh, wow. And they have brought instructors in and actually are taking, and that training is ongoing right now, they're actually taking our officers through this duty to intervene training called Do the Right Thing.
Wow.
And it helps foster a sense of confidence in officers that it's okay to tell your colleague or pull your colleague back.
That's right.
When you see things that aren't necessarily congruent with the philosophy or the policies of the police department.
That's right. It's interesting because it seems like that's a concept that you teach even children. You can be a leader. If Tommy is hitting people on the playground, you can say, hey, don't do that. Yes. And so it's reminding them that they've got the power to be leaders no matter what their position is.
Absolutely.
Even if they're a frontline officer.
So I teach a class to our recruits, and no one ever thinks of a recruit as being a leader. But I teach a leadership class to our recruits.
That's amazing.
And one of the examples that I give them is the response to the Martin Luther King shooting and how important it is that the first officers that responded to that scene were not supervisors. They were officers.
That's right.
And they were responsible for mitigating and leading through a tragedy, a situation that it probably took supervisors a minute to get there. Yeah. So it doesn't matter if you're an officer or you're a supervisor in the department. Leadership is critically important because the community is looking to you to mitigate whatever that situation is until some other higher ranking person can get there.
That's right. We're looking to see you guys serve and protect.
That's right. Handle it.
Absolutely. Well, thank you, Chief Davis. As always,
thank you.
It was so good having you.
Thank you.
And we wish you nothing but the best in 2024. This has been a special edition of Best in Blue, the Progress Report, part 1 of a 3-series program that we will do. And we will be back with more from CJ Davis, and we'll talk next time about crime stats and 21st century policing strategies. See you soon.
A new era in public safety begins with you. Be the change you want to see. Join the Memphis Police Department. Salary starts at $54,611, increasing to $72,000 after 3 years. Incentives include pension, health, vision, dental, and life insurance, 25-year retirement, take-home cars, over 75 specialized units. For more information or details, visit joinmpd.com.
Check out all your Kadzukian favorites now.